We've got Sabine Vanderlinden, and we're going to talk about is or can insurance be sexy? But before we dig into it, I always ask my guests, where can people find you? So when they find you so interesting, insightful, they can go and find you and talk to you further. So
Yeah.
Sabine, where can people find you?
Hi, team. Well, people can find me, I guess, mostly on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. And my profile is Sabine Vanderlinden. So I'm the first
You're the
Vanderlinden on
only
LinkedIn. So
Sabine on,
I'm not the only Sabine Vanderlinden, funny enough. It's why on some of the social media, because I was not fast enough, like just like TikTok on Instagram, I'm Sabine Vanderlinden official.
so I was checking out your LinkedIn profile today, and on your summary title, you call yourself the InsurTech Queen.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so. How do you get to become the InsurTech Queen?
So, I've been in insurance for 25 years.
Hmm.
And over the course of the past 7 years, I've been working mostly in what you would call either the corporate venturing capital funding space, so corporate venturing, really in short, or in the VC space. So I work with a lot of CVCs, a lot of VCs, and therefore a lot of startups. I have scouted over the past 7 years over 27,000 startups through my work, yes, with insurance companies, but also non-insurers, right? Financial services companies, insurance companies, and I would say adjacent sectors wanting to get into insurance. And through that process, I have been able to accelerate over 120 startups. And this morning I had the question as well. Said actually now it's probably 120. I mean, it's a lot of startups over 7 years, and I've helped them raise a lot of funding. So my startup just before COVID reached out to me and said, there's this thing called this InsurTech 100, the most influential InsurTech people out there, and you're the only Black female on that list. So why don't you call yourself the InsurTech Queen? And I felt a bit arrogant to start with. And
No,
then
I no, you shouldn't do.
and then I got pestered by them so many times. I said, okay, let me do it. And the interesting thing is people are very kind. They love it. It's so refreshing, actually. Only once I got a message on my LinkedIn saying, what is going on here? I said, you know what? We need to live in a beautiful world and let's have fun. And hopefully the hard work I do every day justify the title.
I think you justify the title. So I was interested to see how you described it. I mean, you've got an amazing background. I mean, for start, I don't think I could make it in insurance. I just don't think it would be something that I would want to get on with. But you have. I've got some figures. So 21,000 I've got written down here, and 6 billion. Why have I got 6 billion written down? Is that what you've been able to raise?
No, not 6 billion. So I guess if you have 6 billion is the valuations of the startups I was evaluating when I started in InsurTech. So the InsurTech space now has raised over 64 billion in funding from investors over the past since 2015, right? So 7 years. And this is a drop in the ocean when you look at fintech. Fintech has raised so far probably nearly $700 billion from investors. So we are only 10% of that number. And as we evaluate ventures which are relevant for our industry, I would say I spend a lot of time evaluating insurance technology startup to what we call InsurTech. But what excites me the most is technology vendors, startups which are out of nowhere interesting in the industry. So imagine cybersecurity, sustainability tech, metaverse, NFTs. All these actually are themes which are also very interesting and important for our industry. So there are 6,000 startups in InsurTech right now. Every day, my team and I have to probably scan through 2 million startups to actually solve problems for the corporates we are working with.
It's an amazing industry that has literally come out of nowhere. I mean,
Yeah,
I was interviewing someone on here the other day that he does cybersecurity, but for cars,
very
because cars can now be hacked.
absolutely.
And it's a job and a marketplace that didn't exist 5 years ago.
No, but think about us. We are today doing this podcast with you, Tim. We are using a digital channel, right? We are a remote worker. So anything we do through the internet and through our computers can be hacked. So imagine anything using digital technology as a potential for cyber risk. And so, funny enough, when you think about insurance, this is a big market for us, whether you look at consumer or corporations. They have to look at cybersecurity, surveillance, a variety of sub-concepts within the cybersecurity space to make their business more resilient, but also enable their customer businesses to be more resilient. And you and I, whilst we are talking to each other, make sure that nothing happened on our computer devices as well.
So insurance touches everything, doesn't it? It's
Insurance touches.
it's I'm flying soon into Aberdeen, and I have to have travel insurance. There's all kinds of things. I get in the car, I have to have car insurance. So there's insurance does touch so many things, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I was at an event in Vienna just a day ago, and there was a very known person from working with the Bank of England sharing some of the numbers. And one of the stats which was mentioned during the event is approximately in Europe, insurance represents 10% of GDP, and that is the highest, including life and pension. And different countries in Europe have these different systems, right? So we also include pension funds, which are held by government agencies. So it's not insignificant. And whilst it's 10%, I think more can be done. The challenge with insurance is people, buy insurance because they have to. And the interesting thing is, with technology, we're able to make insurance much more interesting for its buyer by embedding it, for instance, in other products. So imagine you buy your laptop, right? You from Apple, you get this warranty, and if something happened, everything is being taken care of. I think we need in insurance to be to that point with everything we do, where it's embedded. Recently, I was talking to one of my friends, and sunglasses. She bought some sunglasses, and she didn't realize there was an embedded insurance into it. And she actually was going to get them repaired. Said, "Oh, it's covered. Here's a new pair of glasses." And she said
Wow.
she didn't even know that she had bought insurance with her glasses. So that's the world we are getting in, where people really understand the value of the products they are buying.
I think we probably recognize that nowadays when we buy Apple, and Apple Care is partly an insurance. It's partly, well, the fact
Or
that
warranty, but it's a form
it's
of.
a warranty that it will be fixed. Yeah. And I think we kind of probably expect that nowadays. But sunglasses, I'd never thought that there would be insurance embedded in sunglasses.
Yeah, and that is very new. It's a new concept. I would say it's a new concept. At the same time, it's an old concept, but technology allows it to be straight embedded in a product. It was, I think, a pair of Ray-Ban. And so what you'll find some brands really being keen of retaining their customer, providing a good service, and making sure if something happened, they return and buy a new pair of glasses in the future. So if they have a pair of glasses they absolutely like, why not make sure that they are repair or replace as soon as possible? Now, when you look at replacement, the interesting thing, when you start looking at the market and the changes in market, we need to think about sustainability.
Yep.
So now you also have policies asking you whether they would mind if they have replacement part in the sunglasses rather than getting it all for new. And what you find, Gen Z more and more are considering replacement. So what we call circular economy, upcycling, recycling, replacing part rather than getting the things from completely new. So there are so many things which touches insurance, which is in our everyday life.
So how can we make insurance sexy then?
So it's interesting because when I started working with startups 7 years ago, a few of the insurance companies I was working with said to me, how can we make insurance sexy? Please help us make insurance sexy. And I teased them. I teased some of them. I said, it will be more than wearing a dress. And so and so how do we do that today is by, for me, looking at the innovation which is out there. We can look at, for example, what Elon Musk is doing, right, with electric vehicles, autonomous driving, and satellite. All this stuff needs to be insured. Today, to insure the things, we need to evaluate the risk and use a lot of data. Imagine all the data which are on Google, Amazon, all this platform can be what I can monetize and package to identify the likelihood of exposure of risk. Then we can actually use this sexy data into the underwriting process, not to do old underwriting, meaning, you get a premium every year and you renew. Actually, you can do real-time pricing. So the technology helps you actually do what we call metered insurance, pay-as-you-go insurance.
Okay, pay as you go, yeah.
Yeah, and dynamic pricing. And then at the back end, when you look at your claims, why not get the claims paid in real time? So you have new business models such as parametric coming to market, parametrics linked to meters. Think about weather. The simplest way to think about it is bad weather, drought, too much rain. You get paid if something happened, an event happened. So how do we make insurance sexy is by looking at the innovation which is happening out there and evolving the business model of insurance to make it much more relevant for its customer. The customer become more and more at the root and at the center of the life of the insurance organization, even though it's going to take some time, right? We don't have it right all the time because insurance still remain an intermediated market with brokers. Brokers usually own the relationship with the customer. More and more, what we are seeing is new application of insurance, which are more and more relevant and interesting for their customers. One area I think which is going to grow more and more is the things we are doing to, creator economy, providing knowledge to others. We also need insurance. And so what you find is more and more insurance realize the value of brands and design themselves brands to attract customer in a much more streamlined way.
Do you think it's becoming, I mean, you've just explained a whole number of different ways of using insurance. Do you think there's one of the things that's come out is this innovation? Because insurance, when I grew up, was the same thing and had been the same thing for years.
Yeah.
But now there seems to be this real movement in the market, just as well as there is in banking. Here's a bank account which is different. Here's a bank account which is mobile only or something like that. And actually there's some real innovation going on. And actually the sky's the limit, where we've taken the stops out of all of the things that stops us thinking about, no, you can't do that, or that won't work, or it's long question, but do you think that innovation's taking place?
The innovation has to take place. I believe there is no choice. So the concept you mentioned, which is in fintech, in banking, is called the unbundling of the value chain. So, you take payment out of the traditional bank and you make it better for the consumer. We all have, Revolut or Starling Bank accounts, which are just managed from our mobile device. We know exactly when things happen. I remember being in a meeting actually it was in Germany, and somebody actually was able to hack into one of my bank accounts. And I got a ping while I was being on a conference call like this. And I immediately said, guys, let's just wait. I call Starling Bank, message Starling Bank and says, I didn't make this sense. I am actually not in London. I am in Germany. And they dealt within 5 minutes. And so that is what digital allow you to do, to actually feel safe and trust the partner, right? The bank or the service provider, which is enabling you to do your work and to earn your money and to have your lifestyle. In insurance, the same. We're unbundling some of the processes. And what you find, a lot of the InsurTech startups, which are come out there, are trying to improve underwriting or claims or variety of processing. Now, the ones which have been doing very well are those who actually really, I think, trying to disrupt the business model. And often it's not by just looking at insurance. It's looking at the overlap between mobility and insurance, climate in insurance, home and insurance. So there's this blurred line between what insurance was and will be in the future and other industry and how they join together to fulfill client needs. A good example is a startup called Zigo, which is in mobility. So imagine you order your food on Uber Eats or Deliveroo. Well, those drivers coming to bring your food at home have insurance. They can buy metered insurance.
Okay, right. Okay.
Insurance by
I was
the
actually
hour.
talking about this the other night. Okay.
Yeah. So they buy their insurance by the hour. They don't need to buy a 1-year policy. They
Right.
buy because they are delivering now. So they are triggering their insurance policy as they are doing their Deliveroo or Uber Eats work. And that is quite transformational because you are creating safety for a group of workers, whilst also enabling them to participate, I guess, in the gig economy or the creator economy in some ways.
So what's going to happen in the future? You know, there's lots of talk about NFTs and the metaverse and things like that, digital assets. How is insurance going to play its part?
Insurers are starting evaluating digital assets. So metaverse is one of very interesting space for sure. I've seen a number of insurers, first from a retention viewpoint, onboarding, talent acquisition is very hard nowadays. So they are going to use virtual reality environments to retain employees and give them an immersive experience to learn. So that is one. I've seen insurers also doing this with their brokers. And actually, there's a wonderful case study for an insurer called Ergo Mimicry, which has been leveraging the metaverse with Meta and also the virtual reality glasses with their brokers to enable them to immerse themselves to understand their customer and how, I would say, to sell insurance, but really to understand how to service their customers better. So there is this little angle around metaverse, VR, and really immersing ourselves in understanding the customer we are trying to serve. When we look at now being truly in the metaverse, I can see, you can buy now your tennis shoes and try them in the metaverse,
Yep.
right? And so what is the risk, right? If you are making an order, it's not the same. So I can see some new products emerging to create safety in the metaverse. Now, when we sell art with NFTs, we are still working out what is that, safety zone, because there's speculation risk as well happening, and insurance do not do speculative risk. So there is so much more that can be done. We are scratching the surface right now, and we are looking at the scenarios and business cases to see how we are going to insure digital asset in the future, because we've been used to insure physical asset like buildings, car.
Yep.
Now a lot of our asset will be digital, and they also need insuring.
Yeah, I think there's a big debate, isn't there, about NFTs and about the fact that do they belong to you, or and how do they belong to you? And while you can have discussions about blockchain, you can say, well, here's a note of money. It has a serial number on it. You can't take a photo of it and try using the photo to buy something with it. But you could just take a screenshot of it and say, well, I've got it. So there's a real debate, isn't there, about what's going to happen with NFTs and how that's going to make an impact, and what's the point of them in a way as well.
I think the big question is, what is the point of it right now? I think they have fallen out of love just now, and so hopefully it's going to go back like any product, right? Product life cycles. I mean, I love the Gartner hype cycles. The drought of disillusion, and then it comes out again. We still have to work out the value and how NFTs, as part of this Web3 and metaverse world, is going to enable us to create value. And a lot of the creators who are into that metaverse world, trying to monetize services, will want to use for sure crypto and digital currencies to interact and transact. But this is so immature, right? We started really with the metaverse technically a year ago.
Sabine, it's been fantastic. It's it's a subject area that I don't know anything about, and so I just sit here and soak it up like a sponge, because it's, you know, I'm one of these people that loves knowing new things. So actually sitting in front of somebody who knows a whole load of stuff that I don't know, is just, for me, it's just I just love it. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing your and actually being able to talk to the InsurTech Queen has been an honor.
The pleasure is mine, Tim. I mean, you know, many of us we fall into insurance. I fell into insurance 25 years ago. And I would say the quality of the relationships you build in this industry is magnificent. And so it's very hard to get out of it.
I bet. Thank you so much, Sabine, for coming on. And
Pleasure.
Remind people where they can get hold of you.
Please connect with me on LinkedIn. You'll find me under Sabine Vanderlinden, and probably will see the pink face. I mean, the pink background and my face. Hopefully you will recognize me. I'm so active on Twitter under Sabine VDL.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And thank you for the comments as well. So thanks, Sabine. Really